Hey friends, hit that subscribe, like, and comment to join this amazing journey. Every click powers new content and means the world to me. Thanks for being the heart of this awesome community. The bottomless well of fairy tales, dwarven treasure hunts, and humanity's endless greed. Beneath the shimmering veneer of modern civilization, the old stories of dwarves and hidden treasures still linger in hushed corners of folklore. Parents in certain rural hamlets hush their children before bedtime with tales of stout, bearded beings who dwell deep in the earth, guarding riches beyond human comprehension. Many treat these stories as whimsical fantasy, the leftover scraps of an older, more superstitious age. Yet for those watchers who study myth and rummage through the diaries of explorers, the dwarven legends form more than mere fairy tale. They hold the potential to reveal an ageless pattern. Humans, driven by unstoppable overshadow illusions, have long sought an elusive fortune rumored to lie in the dwarven realm. The Watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in how each generation rediscovers the myth, forging expeditions in search of bottomless wells and mountain labyrinths, only to vanish or return haunted by intangible overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The Watchers glean that references to dwarven treasure can be found in ancient runic inscriptions, Middle Ages bestiaries, and scattered local legends across multiple continents. While the dwarves vary in name, called Dwergar, Alfar, or simply the Small Folk, the Watchers note consistent attributes. Dwarves are said to be master miners, forging tunnels that crisscross beneath mountain ranges, shaping hidden halls filled with precious metals and gems. In older Germanic texts, Watchers find overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, describing dwarves forging arms for gods. In Celtic lore, Watchers read of a stout subterranean clan that jealously guarded shining gold. The Watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Behind these mythic glimpses, a single core emerges. Dwarves stand as keepers of the earth's secret riches, while humans, enthralled by greed, attempt infiltration time and again. The Watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, and how these interactions frequently end in curses or tragedy. In a dusty library in southwestern Germany, Watchers uncovered the partial diaries of a 13th century scholar named Arnulf the Red, describing a clandestine foray into the hollow heart of the Harz Mountains in pursuit of dwarven mines. Arnulf wrote of encountering short figures with eyes that glowed in torchlight. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. He recounted negotiations, attempts at exchanging surface goods for a glimpse of dwarven forges. But the Watchers gleaned from his final paragraphs that the dwarves withdrew once they sensed insincerity or greed. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Arnulf claimed to have stolen a single gem from a dwarven hoard, but upon leaving the cave, the gem dissolved into black dust, leaving him ill for weeks. Historians might label his story a metaphor for moral lessons about greed. The Watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as possibly literal. They note how Arnulf's diaries end abruptly. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Fueling speculation, he succumbed to intangible curses. In Celtic regions, Watchers found references to the wells of the small people, bottomless pits that rumored to hold an entire dwarven city if one descended deep enough. One Gaelic folktale speaks of a traveler who discovered an ancient well near a ring of standing stones. A caretaker of that well, a dwarf in tattered robes, beckoned him to descend, promising wealth beyond the measure of mortal desire. The traveler obeyed. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, climbing down a rope. Days passed, and he never emerged. Later, villagers found the rope undone at the top, severed from below. Some watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The dwarves tested the traveler's heart, found it wanting, thus imprisoned him or ended him. The watchers see illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in each retelling. Possibly it served as a caution about succumbing to greed. But watchers who rummage deeper sense intangible hush, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Maybe dwarves exist as guardians, ensuring that reckless humans cannot simply snatch the Earth's lifeblood. From the 15th to 18th centuries, watchers note a spike in recorded dwarf hunts, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in which unscrupulous explorers sought rumored dwarven gold. Some watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as part of the expansionist mania that drove colonization and resource plundering. In certain mountainous areas of Europe, watchers discovered old pacts between local lords and underground folk, where lords promised not to tunnel too deeply if dwarves refrained from cursing their land. These watchers point to half-lost legal documents referencing a miner's treaty under a baron who bragged about forging alliances with the hidden masters. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Over time, watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions that each generation tested these lines, culminating in a series of tragedies, collapsed mines, vanishings, strange footprints in the dust-laden galleries. The watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as dwarven retribution or overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions born from the gloom of the mines. Outside of Europe, watchers found parallel dwarven lore in Andean highlands. The mountainous peoples speak of Los Enanos de la Cordillera, a subterranean clan rumored to dwell in labyrinthine caves laced with gold veins. Countless watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in local stories describing haunting nighttime sightings of small, swift figures. In Mesoamerican tradition, watchers highlight the Alex or Chaniks. Though not exactly dwarves, they fill a parallel niche as small guardians of nature with a trickster edge. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The watchers see that the dwarven archetype recurs globally. Each time, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, fueling human greed to delve too deep. The watchers glean from oral histories that Andean dwarves cursed entire mining towns that grew too arrogant. They say overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. A single dwarven malediction might spawn avalanches or lethal gas pockets, burying entire communities in rubble. Over centuries, local fear turned to solemn respect. While mainstream historians label dwarven references as mere myth, watchers unify the scattered accounts. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They interpret a possible real phenomenon, an older culture or subspecies living underground, or an ephemeral, intangible presence. Either way, the watchers see illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in the consistency of Dwarves' portrayal, cunning, proud, and fiercely protective of hidden hordes. Meanwhile, the Watchers also see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in humanity's repeated attempts to breach Dwarven territories. The Watchers propose that each fiasco underscores how greed remains unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The Watchers connect Dwarven gold mania to intangible overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions that arises when men vanish in labyrinthine caves. As modern times approach, Watchers shift focus to the ephemeral illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions that swirl in 19th century diaries of mountaineers and fortune hunters. The Gold Rush era in various mountainous regions saw a resurgence of Dwarven rumors. Some Watchers discovered explorers' logs referencing encounters with stunted men who vanish behind boulders. In the Swiss Alps, Watchers found personal letters from a certain Hans Gruber describing how on a lonely pass at twilight he glimpsed a small figure forging a glowing metal object. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Approaching quietly, Gruber heard melodic hammering, almost a metallic lullaby. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Then the figure noticed him, letting out an unearthly hiss. Gruber fled, dropping his gear. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. No one believed him upon return, so Watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as typical. But a year later, Gruber died of unknown illness, prompting Watchers to suspect intangible Dwarven retribution or a curse. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions indeed. In early 20th century, Watchers noticed how fairy tales about dwarves saturate children's books. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. We see them as helpful or comedic. Yet Watchers find older, more menacing portrayals in pre-modern texts. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Possibly the sanitized version of dwarves, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions was popularized to quell deeper fears. Meanwhile, Watchers in small enclaves hold gatherings where they retell the older, darker Dwarven stories. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Dwarves as fiercely territorial, punishing those who infringe on sacred caverns. A consistent theme emerges. Dwarven hospitality is a double-edged sword. If you approach with humility or a pure heart, they might offer gifts or knowledge. But approach with greed, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, and you might vanish into bottomless wells or labyrinthine tunnels forever. Thus we arrive at the central motif, the bottomless well of fairy tales. Watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in references to dwarven wells rumored to lead to infinite riches. Legends say these wells appear in remote glades or near ancient stones. If you peer into the well by day, you see only darkness. But under certain planetary alignments or festival nights, Watchers claim you can see a faint glow at the bottom, Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The Watchers guess that dwarves open a magical threshold, letting the reflection of their subterranean city show. That city, Watchers imagine, is a place of shimmering gold arches, luminous gem-studded ceilings, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Yet attempts to descend always lead to horrifying ends. Some watchers recall a French traveler in the mid-1800s who boasted of lowering himself into just such a well at midnight. He wrote a final letter describing the descent, hearing echoes of Dwarven chanting. Illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Then, no more letters. He was never heard from again. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The Watchers see illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in each attempt. At the root of these tragedies, Watchers identify the unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions of human greed. Tales from multiple cultures depict gold lust as the fatal lure. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Dwarves remain indifferent to wealth as a concept, seeing gold more as a living resource. But humans fixate on it. Unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, forging entire expeditions. The Watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions that dwarves set traps or illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions to deter intruders. Possibly illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions revolve around illusions or glamours that lead men in circles. Or dwarves might shape tunnels so that once you pass a certain point, you're lost. The Watchers see illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in the labyrinth analogy. Some Watchers claim that dwarves aren't malicious, but they cannot abide theft or arrogance. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. In that sense, dwarves enforce a cosmic lesson about the cost of unbridled greed. One ephemeral account from the 1920s involves a Spanish adventurer, Roberto Garrido, who claimed to have found a dwarven settlement in the Pyrenees. Illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Garrido described forging a cautious alliance, presenting simple metal trinkets to show no ill intent. Allegedly, dwarven representatives permitted him a brief glimpse of their forge. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Garrido wrote in his journal that the dwarves wore intricately hammered armor with swirling runic motifs, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They discovered him rummaging near a cave entrance, but recognized an earnest curiosity rather than greed. Garrido recounted how dwarven elders explained that the more men lust for gold, the deeper dwarves retreat. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Garrido's final note says the dwarves politely escorted him out, warning him never to return. He complied. Illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. But Watchers can't confirm Garrido's veracity. Critics label it a tall tale. Watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as typical. Yet the diaries remain intriguing. overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, fueling watchers who want the dwarves to be real. As the watchers piece together these scattered tales, illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, they see a consistent moral thread. Dwarves represent an older law of the earth, punishing hubris while rewarding sincerity or humility. Meanwhile, the watchers observe that humans rarely come with pure hearts, always thirsting for dwarven gold. Illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. So inevitably, dwarven curses follow. The watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, repeated in countless variants. Possibly that is how dwarven legends remain relevant to this day. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as cautionary reminders that nature's treasures are not for reckless exploitation. In the mid-20th century, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, watchers observe a wave of academic attempts to rationalize dwarven lore. Anthropologists proposed that dwarves might be an extinct or reclusive pygmy population. Geologists suggested dwarven mines were mislabeled ancient mine shafts from prior civilizations. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Yet none explain the widespread phenomenon of vanishings or the consistency of intangible overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in areas rumored as dwarven territory. Meanwhile, the watchers see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in how each rational approach leaves the core mysteries unsolved. People still vanish near rumored dwarven wells. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The watchers suspect overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions is more than myth. In modern times, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. A new wave of internet watchers has revived interest. They parse old manuscripts, cross-referencing dwarven stories from Nordic, Germanic, Celtic, Andean, Mesoamerican contexts. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They find parallels in legends of little men with infinite lifespans, forging overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in hidden realms. They see overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in consistent warnings about bottomless wells or labyrinthine tunnels. Each time, watchers note how the dwarves remain silent or cunning unless provoked by human greed. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Some watchers launch amateur expeditions to remote caves or mountainous enclaves with rumored dwarven sightings. Usually they find only overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, old cave systems, or partial glimpses of shadowy shapes. The watchers interpret overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as ephemeral illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions that may be dwarves or possibly trickery of light. One particularly dramatic incident from the 1990s involves a group of treasure hunters traveling to the Carpathians in Eastern Europe. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They boasted of having a map gleaned from a centuries-old cryptic text referencing the Dwarven horde of the Black Mountain. The Watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, as typical. The group supposedly discovered an ancient well in a hidden ravine, swirling with thick mist even at midday. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They lowered a line, only to have it jerk violently. Panicked, they reeled it up to find the end sheared clean off. Terrified, they retreated. Some watchers suspect intangible watchers or dwarven guardians cut the line. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The group left behind a single, fuzzy photograph of the well mouth. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Despite attempts to locate it again, no watchers succeeded. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions remain. In Latin America, watchers highlight sporadic 21st century claims of dwarven sightings near Andean peaks. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. One local farmer swore he saw small footprints around a mountain spring each dawn, even though no child lived nearby. Another recounted hearing faint hammering from within a rock face at night. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The Watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Dwarves forging or mining in hidden chambers. The farmer found a chunk of quartz placed neatly outside his door one morning. A dwarven gesture, Watchers guess. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions again. Possibly a sign of acceptance or warning. The Watchers remain enthralled. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Thus, the Watchers gather these threads into the bottomless well of fairy tales, dwarven treasure hunts, and humanity's endless greed. At its core, illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, revolve around the unstoppable drive for wealth. Time and again, humans chase ephemeral dwarven gold. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They rummage through wells rumored to be bottomless, break into sealed tunnels, or attempt forced alliances with subterranean folk. Yet each time, illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, curses or vanishings ensue. The Watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as caution. The Dwarven realm is not ours to conquer. The Watchers see illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Meanwhile, dwarves stand as guardians of the Earth's deeper secrets, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, dealing harshly with intruders who approach with greed. And so, the Watchers find moral resonance. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Dwarves might represent a primal law, respect the land's treasures, or face intangible retribution. The Watchers glean illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions from repeated patterns in every culture. Possibly dwarves simply are an allegory. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. But Watchers ask why the allegory remains so consistent across continents. Illusions overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Could it be a faint memory of an older race? Or intangible watchers that enforce cosmic fairness? The watchers do not know. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They only note the unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, that each dwarven tale ends in either respect or tragedy. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. In the present day, watchers continue to mount small expeditions. They rummage in mountainous terrain with advanced scanning, illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, searching for hidden passages or anomalous cavities that might be dwarven halls. Sometimes they find suspicious cavities. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. They lower cameras, see only rock or collapsed tunnels. The watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions that dwarves, if real, can easily hide or shift entrances. The watchers remain stumped. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Meanwhile, deeper cave divers occasionally vanish. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The watchers suspect the illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, dwarven involvement. Or maybe normal caving accidents. Either way, illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. No definitive dwarven remains or living specimens have been found. The watchers keep searching. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions fuel their obsession. Ultimately, the bottomless well of fairy tales, dwarven treasure hunts, and humanity's endless greed remains an ever-growing tapestry. The watchers interpret illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions in each new anecdote. The moral stands firm whenever humans succumb to blind greed. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. The dwarves, whether literal or symbolic, represent the boundary we cross at our peril. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Some watchers find comfort in the notion that hidden folk guard the Earth's deeper realms. Others see illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions as a mythic reflection of our own self-destructive impulses. In either interpretation, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, the dwarven legends endure, and unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions moral that transcends time, binding us to a primordial pact with the unseen forces beneath our feet. So, dear watchers, let us remain mindful of the cautionary note. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Should you ever come across a moss-laden well in a secluded forest clearing with faint chiseled runes around its edge, think twice before you peer inside. Illusions, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. For that glimmer at the bottom might be dwarven city lights, a lure for your greed. Overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Yet once you descend, intangible hush, overshadow illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions may claim you as forfeit, your name never to grace mortal lands again. Illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions. Thus the Watchers close this saga, leaving the Dwarven realm unchallenged. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, and the bottomless well of fairy tales remains a silent testament to human folly, forever out of reach. Overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, punishing greed with illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable illusions, overshadow illusions, unstoppable and final.